What's going on, everybody? Dual Coast Podcast. We are live Tuesday morning. Me and my colleague right here, Russ Rogers. Russ, how we doing over there on the West Coast this morning?
Oh man, I'm telling you, it is foggy this morning. I mean,
Yeah,
it is down on the ground, and
really.
it doesn't affect my mood, baby. I'm up and rise and shine.
Rise
Let's
and shine.
go. Look
Yep,
at all the light in here.
love it, love it. A lot of vitamin D in there.
Oh, tons. Get it right off this lamp.
That's it, baby. That's it.
How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. East Coast, obviously a little bit gray right now to those listening on the East Coast. I don't know. It's been gray for the past couple of weeks, honestly, on and off. And now the weather hopefully starts to turn around come the next week or two. But it's been raining a lot. Gets hot out, but still gray. Still gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All day?
All day, man. Honestly, till the latter portion of the afternoon, maybe the sun peeks through a little bit, but that's about it. Yeah. I don't know why. Like I was
It's
telling
almost like
Russ,
you're living in the Northwest in
I know,
Seattle.
man. I know. Might as well be in Alaska over here. But I was telling you off air before, like sometimes I don't know, over the past couple of years, like the weather has just shifted a little bit for June. It has been gray and gray and gray, and then like summer really starts to peak through at the beginning of July for some reason. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It affects it affects people's mood. I do this thing
Sure.
on Mondays called Movement Mondays on LinkedIn.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just a 30-second. I just started it a week ago.
Oh.
So on LinkedIn, Movement Mondays, I just go on there and I'm basically changing people's mindset about Mondays.
Interesting.
Because a lot of people look at Monday starting on Sunday,
Uh-huh.
right? They're preparing for the week, but it's like,
Sure.
it's Monday. It's the beginning of the week. It's a
Yeah.
long week, that mindset, right?
Yes.
So I just, give them 30 seconds of Movement Monday, just something inspirational. And yesterday was about sunshine vitamin.
Cool.
And I was out on the wharf and I was out walking around, sun shining. I said, I'm doing exactly what you need to be doing, getting
Yeah.
outside 10, 15 minutes a day just to get some vitamin D.
Yeah.
And we all need it.
For sure.
We all need it,
For sure. Yeah.
It impacts our mood greatly.
I agree. I
So,
agree.
we were talking about our buddy living back there in the Northeast, and it's like, he gets that down in depression, come wintertime,
Seasonal, yeah.
right?
Yep.
And that's tough, man. When you're not seeing the sun, it's snowing, it's cold, it's freezing, that kind of thing. But it's overcoming that mindset. So
Yeah.
I know that's not
100%.
what we're talking about today, but that's in relationship to our gray mornings.
It does. Absolutely. Absolutely. It affects mood. And, on Dual Coast, we're all about, motivation and how to power up. So that's,
Let's go.
vitamin D is out. Vitamin D is the top of the list.
I mean, look at the power right now. Look at
That's
the power on this show right now.
Agreed. Agreed.
Oh,
But we have
Yeah.
a very interesting topic today and something that's very near and dear to Russ's heart. And that is
very near.
very near and dear to Russ's heart. And that is the power of community wellness. So everyone around you and how you form an ecosystem in your community,
I
whether
love
it
that
be
word.
in fitness, you like that? Whether it
Yeah.
be in fitness,
Well
physical,
done.
whatever it be, and how you work with the others who surround you. Russ has I was experienced it. Russ is a very tight-knit community in regards to that in Santa Cruz. That is a very, very interesting ecosystem, very tight-knit in regards to the power of community wellness in Santa Cruz. And I got to experience that a couple of weeks ago when I was out there with him. And Russ, I'll let you elaborate a little bit on what do you think about community wellness?
Yeah. Well, I look around and I watch people. I look at posts. I look at my surrounding. We have a mutual friend who was one of our guest speakers at our event.
Yeah.
Aaron Wexler.
Yeah.
And anytime that I see Aaron post, it's typically surrounded by people.
Yeah.
It could be one singular person, be it on a mountain bike, right, riding through the hills of Santa Cruz or Chico or Los Angeles, whatever it is, or he's playing or teaching beach volleyball. And yes, in this community, I have kind of a group, a niche of different groups of friends. And typically a lot of these are involve volleyball, involve sports on the beach.
Yeah.
I don't fish, but I have fisherman friends, and we talk about fishing.
Sure.
But a lot of what we do, or a lot of what we talk about, all has to do, with sports and life and connectivity.
Yep.
And it's just one of the most important things that we can do in this life is not go through life alone.
Yep.
That is really what it's about. And
Yep.
because when we go through life alone, right, we
Yep.
our mood, we talked about mood, right? Not
Yep.
having the sunshine vitamin.
Yep.
Our mood comes down, our anxiety goes up, our depression goes up, our cardiovascular goes down. It's like, it's all of these things, because when we're alone and we're in our own minds, then what do? We sit.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people will indulge in food.
Sure.
They'll indulge in TV. They'll indulge in sedentary lifestyle, which is not healthy.
Right.
Right. And so
Right.
it's all about connectivity. It's all about building relationships. It's all about connecting with people, whether it's friends, family, colleagues, whoever it may be. Connect with someone, at
Right.
least one person.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. I totally agree. I think the wellness is kind of a culture that you absorb pretty much. It doesn't always have to be wellness. It could be in the fishing community. It could be in the business community or something along those lines. But surrounding yourself with that social support, or
Yes.
surrounding yourself with those people, allows you to kind of integrate a little bit into that whole realm.
Yes.
And we talk about this sometimes at a lot of conferences that me and Russ go to, and people say you have accountability partners. So now when you have these accountability partners, or somebody from a social support standpoint, you could focus on the task a little bit more.
That's right.
So like me and Russ, just working on the podcast together, we hold each other accountable with certain portions of it, and we talk to each other back and forth. And that's how you thrive. And I think that works well in every single type of community, whether it be wellness, whether it be business, whatever it be. And then you could thrive off each other a little bit. I hold you accountable. He holds me accountable, vice versa. And I think that helps a lot of times, because you can have that social support system around you, and it allows you to focus a little bit more too. Like if I was to try to do things on my own, I wouldn't have as much focus, in my opinion. Nobody holds me accountable. Nobody looks at it. But if I have a group of people, let's say, who I met at the gym every morning, they would say, "Hey, where's Dan?" "Hey, where's Dan?" And I would get a call and I would get a text. And that would probably motivate me a little bit more, honestly, than if I was to just do things on my own.
Yes.
And I think that social support helps a lot of people, in all honesty. And it doesn't have to be in fitness. It could be in anything. Social support system around you. Like I said before, you develop this ecosystem, and then everybody around you has the same goal at hand, the same task. They want to accomplish the same thing. And if you have that, it generates an encouraging relationship, I think.
Yes.
And then everybody can kind of focus and achieve together, as opposed to trying to achieve on your own. I think things are better accomplished in groups than they are alone. That's my opinion on everything, honestly.
Yeah.
As long as everybody holds their weight and everybody kind of does the same thing and everybody holds each other accountable, I think great things can be achieved using other people around you. Who, not how, is what Russ likes to say. And I love that. So, when you have that who around you, you could accomplish great things.
Yeah. How many times do you, you go to like this, old school coffee shop, right? Yeah. And this kind of, dates back, but, still today, I have a buddy of mine. He's an old retired guy. He's like 81 years old. And he's got this low riding blue pickup truck loaded with tools, and he cruises around. But every morning, without fail, at 6:20 in the morning, I hear his truck go by my house every morning, and he's on the way to Sunny D's. It's a coffee shop, and he stands outside and he hangs with guys for 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
They're not exercising, they're drinking coffee, they're eating donuts, but they're having connectivity. Right? Yep. It is the power of that. He also goes to like this car club that's out in front of Starbucks.
Sure.
At the mall every Saturday morning, goes and hangs out and meets guys and talks about cars. And, there's that sense of community no matter where you're at. Now with us, our connectivity is around wellness, right? Sure. But the important thing is that there is the power of connectivity, right? The power of community with one another. Right, and so the whole idea is that we are connecting with people, we are having conversation, and of course, the most important thing is if we can do that and move at the same time.
Yeah, 100%. I do think that you also, it allows you to celebrate small wins also simultaneously, because if you in the wellness community, let's say you get people who are sedentary together and you develop this whole idea of like, guys, we need to do something. We need to get out there a little bit more. And let's say you go out and you walk a mile. Russ does community strides, 2 miles every month, 2 miles every couple of weeks on Saturday mornings. And I think like if you take those small steps, you could develop this sense of accomplishment together. That's the whole idea. I feel like you wouldn't have such a sense of accomplishment if you did these things on your own sometimes. If I went out and I walked 1 mile, I'd be like, okay, I walked 1 mile. I see these people running 26 miles. I see these people, and I'm walking 1 mile. But if you did that together with people who don't really get out there that much and don't really do things, you could celebrate those small wins together and develop that whole realm of people and just keep achieving. That's why I think it's better off a lot of times, group classes and group wellness and everything. I personally work out on my own. I go to the gym on my own, but there are a lot of gyms and a lot of places now that work on community fitness pretty much. They have centers, they have places, gyms. For instance, we had a guest on at Impact Santa Cruz, Karina Reed, who is a group fitness instructor. That is what she does. And she has a huge following in the Santa Cruz region.
Yes.
For that reason. And I did get this sense, Russ, when we were at Impact Santa Cruz, everybody who followed Karina came in and they had a very tight-knit ecosystem, like I said before. Everybody was talking about how Karina empowers them, how Karina coaches them, and they allow themselves to achieve through Karina. And I think that's a huge thing. You can't always accomplish what you want to directly on your own. Sometimes you need to ask for a little bit of help. And I think having that around you allows you to excel more than you would sometimes on your own.
Yes.
What do you think about that, Russ?
I believe it 100%. Karina, with all of her hurdles that she's had in her life, and to see her build this community.
Sure.
She travels around here in the Santa Cruz area, and she has communities all around, and a lot of people will follow her to get that workout in. But then, she just started working at a new athletic club here in Santa Cruz.
Sure.
And already she's got this great community of people who are following. Well, guess what that does? She is supported by these people. And I think that's really, what is so important, what is necessary in life is to have that support. She talked on our live podcast at Impact Santa Cruz today about the importance of community.
Yeah.
Having people surrounding you to support you and lift you up and encourage you.
Right.
It's okay. I enjoy walking by myself. Sometimes I have my headphones in, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just want to listen to the ocean and not have any music, going on in the background. Sometimes I do. But, sometimes I do like walking. Like you said, you like to go to the gym and you work out alone, right?
Yeah.
But, for me, it's like I enjoy those singular times, but I really enjoy those times when I'm walking with someone, or I'm hanging out on the beach and I'm connecting with community. There's a couple of pockets of friends there. It's support. Sure. I can go to them and I can talk to them about issues maybe in my life, or a struggle that I'm having, or a highlight, right? We can talk about life. We can talk about anything, but it's a support group that we all need, that network, that ecosystem that we need in our lives. That's going to encourage us each and every day, just to make it, make it the next day. Right.
Yeah. 100%. I think those safe and encouraging kind of relationships can help you down regulate stress also a lot of times.
Yes.
Because the things that you build, and we were talking about this off air before, people, sometimes they're stressed out, they have that seasonal depression. They need somebody to speak to in some way, shape, or form. And I think those safe and encouraging relationships give you a realm to do that. You can go to the fitness community, even like, at the hospital, when I go to the hospital to work and everything like that, sometimes it causes a lot of stress, but we down regulate together. Me and all the guys I work with, we talk, we joke around, we laugh, and like that helps down regulate the stress of the job. And I think that goes the same for any type of situation. I could come to you and I could speak to you, and that could help me down regulate the stress in my life, and even in the fitness world, let's say you all get together, you could disassociate also. You can, let's say certain things are bothering you, but you want to get that hour in a day where you just disassociate. You don't want to think about it. You want to get away from it. You join in your fitness community or your community wellness community. Yeah. Community wellness community, if that makes sense. But, you could talk to each other. You could down regulate together. You could decrease stress. You could calm down together. I think that's a huge thing. And I think a lot of people avoid that at the same time. I think it helps greatly, but I think a lot of people do avoid that because I think there's a sense of fear that also comes into play here. Yeah. And you know, and I also think certain people who don't think they are at a specific level, it generates a specific fear in them, like getting into that gym, getting into that walking community, getting into that fitness group class community. I think there's a certain level of fear that needs to be overcome in order for you to take that step to get into those realms too.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's hard for some people, and I totally understand that. And I just thinking back, I'm just thinking back to when we talked to Frank Seppi on one of the episodes early on, when he said he wanted to join a new gym, and it was like a yoga type gym, and he had a little bit of fear to go into it. And I'm like, you know, this guy's a champion bodybuilder, and he had a fear of going in there. And I think that a lot of times there is fear, but that community support is huge, guys. Like, anybody who wants to belong can belong. If you want to get out there, you want to, you know, achieve, join these groups, join that fitness class, jump into community strides like Russ has, and, you know, join the movement. And I think you'll achieve way more, and you'll have that much more success if you could talk to people, decrease stress in your life, get out there and move.
There are groups everywhere.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
There are all kinds of groups.
All different realms. Yeah.
And, you know, I know there's online walking groups. I know there's, you know, I want to call it a mandolin. It's not a mandolin, but it's you know, it's a little I can't even think of the name of the instrument right now, but it's what is it? A ukulele. There we go.
Ukulele
yeah,
group.
like there's a ukulele club that plays every weekend out of this little amphitheater right by where I live, and there's 60 to 100 people that come around, and they've got their music in front of them, and they're all playing songs, and it's community, right? They're having music, they're having fun, and there's people that are dancing, you know, around it. And not that I would dance to ukulele music, but it's there. There are communities everywhere. There are communities everywhere. You just got to ask, you just got to search, you just got to find. Just don't sit back and do nothing. That's the most important thing. Find the groups, ask, talk to people, talk to friends. What are you doing? Who are you connecting with? How can I get involved? How can I get connected? Because if you're not connecting, it's your own fault. That's the bottom line.
100%. And you find something that aligns with your values. So let's say you want to get better at the gym. You find a fitness group that is, you know, starting out in the gym, or somebody who could train you in the gym. Let's say you want to get better at gymnastics, something along those lines. You find a gymnastics group that is for beginners, or you find a gymnastics group that has experience, who is willing to work with you or something like that. There are groups in every single thing possible. Russ just said there's a ukulele group. I've never even seen a ukulele group. Like, you know, there are groups probably for every single thing, but you just have to find something that aligns with your values, and it allows you to grow. It allows you to be honest with yourself. It allows you to be honest with the group simultaneously. Me and Russ have this conversation all the time, how there's, you know, groups for everything. And if you want to relate to somebody, you want to talk to somebody, it's always out there. It's always available. It's just a matter of you taking that first step to initiate in order to get into the group itself. You know, and a lot of these groups are very, very easily accessible. I would say accessibility is very easy on a lot of these realms. You know, you just have to reach out, and, you know, very many people are accepting of whatever it may be. But something that aligns with your values is a huge thing. I mean, for myself, you know, I sometimes you just need to talk to people. Sometimes even like, you know, me and Russ always say, like, you know, men's groups are a big thing too. Like, as far as talking to people, as far as just saying what's stressing you out, being able to bounce ideas off people, having that group of, or a network of people that you want to just speak to whenever you feel like it. Like I said before, the who, not how. And I think that's a huge thing. And you're not going to be judged. You just have to challenge yourself in order to get into the realm. That's the idea. You have to challenge yourself a little bit and take that first step, or take that stride. It's not a matter of being judged. It's a matter of challenging yourself to get in.
Yeah. And I think that's huge on the judgment, right? Because that's something that holds a lot of people back.
For sure. 100%.
How am I going to be judged? By the way that I look, my appearance, my weight, my size, right? You know, if I have freckles on my face, right? It doesn't matter. We can get in our own head all the time and get in our own way from accomplishing whatever we want to accomplish. So don't let any of these things hold you back. Don't let judgment hold you back, right? Believe in yourself. that you can. Believe in yourself that you can do it. Believe in yourself that you can take that first step and whatever it is. But the most important thing is to connect, to get with community wherever. Go to the donut shop, find a group, find a reading group, find a, like you said, a gymnastics group, find a group that likes to go out and, we have a community here. It's not a very big community. It's probably like maybe 6 blocks long, 6 by 6, we'll call it. And every night at 8 o'clock, you step out of your house and you just give this howl. And they're just like, woo, yelling, whatever, right? And it's just like, hey, you know what? You're not, sometimes you may go to the coast, you look over the edge and you're, yelling with people at 8 o'clock, or maybe you're just standing in front door, but other people are doing it in the community, right?
100%.
And so it's crazy, but it's fun, right?
Yeah.
There's knitting groups, there's gardening groups, there's all kinds of groups that are out there that you can connect with and build community. And the community is wellness.
That's it.
It's wellness.
It is,
because it brings life into us. If it's once a week, if it's once every couple of weeks, or maybe it's multiple times during the week, whatever it is, the most important thing is take that first step to connect with people, because it is all about wellness. And having that support group around us brings wellness in our lives. It breathes life into us, and we have this connectivity that anytime that I might be going through something, I can reach out to somebody and say, hey, listen, I'm hurting. Hey, listen, I'm not feeling well. Hey, listen, I have a family issue, or whatever it may be, a work issue. It's having that connectivity of being able to release, right, what is inside of here, so that we can live a healthier life.
Yeah. And that group doesn't always have to be based on certain things, guys. It may be a fitness group, but you may still develop those friendships that you could bounce things off of that have nothing to do with fitness. You could develop friends just from this whole scenario, in all honesty, different new connections. My word for this year was connectivity, or connect. And Russ had asked me that, when we back in January, and it's connect. And I've really tried to stand by that, honestly, make new connections, talk to people, network myself, get into different groups. I'm a huge proponent of the phrase, put yourself in the room. And Russ knows that. And for those rooms, you just have to find things that align with you. What do you like? What's your values? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to achieve? And you put yourself in that room. It does take some stress. You do have to challenge yourself a little bit, but you're not going to be judged. It's all going to be about you, how you stride, how you take that first leap, and just put yourself in the room. And I'm a huge proponent of that saying, and you never know what's going to happen. I put myself in a room and I met Russ. And from there, everything spiraled. You never know what's going to happen. You don't know who's in that room. You don't know how you're going to do. I understand that. And there's always that fear. But if you put yourself in that room, I promise you, great things can happen. Great things can happen.
Yeah. I asked Dan what his word was. And then all of a sudden, he's like, connectivity. He's got a girlfriend. I was like, okay, all right, we're connecting.
We're connecting. We're connecting.
Now we're buying a house and moving in together.
A lot of connectivity this year.
Have you ever watched The Blue Zone?
I don't even know what that is. What's that?
Okay, so there are pockets. I can't remember. I want to say there was 7 pockets. It was on Netflix or Amazon Prime, one of those two. And this guy went around and he found the longevity of people, living their lives till their 90s, 100, and living healthy lives at 90 to 100 years of age.
Okay.
And he went around the country, or the world, not the country. He went around the world and he found these pockets of groups of people. And it's called the Blue Zone. And it's, why are people living these long, healthy lives? And, one of them, like over in Italy, was like, they drink wine. They drink red wine, which is, supposedly good for your heart.
Sure.
And, but, in each one of these pockets of the Blue Zone, every one of them was about connectivity.
Really?
They were all connecting with their community. And, they were singing, they were dancing, they were laughing, they were sharing, they were breaking bread, they were drinking wine, they were taking walks, they were helping each other in each other's gardens. The longevity of life, right?
Yes.
And it was all built around community. It's a good watch. It's a very good watch. Yeah. Okay. The Blue Zone.
All right. Shout out the Blue Zone. Okay.
Yeah. There we go.
All right. All right. Netflix listening. But yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting. But I totally can see that because I mean, I'm Italian and I've seen many videos in Italy of just people all together singing, dancing down the street. You don't see that too often here, in all honesty. It's
No.
a big thing, like in Italy, like in night and stuff like that. All the kids, like, singing, dancing in the streets. Big,
Because people
big,
think you're
big.
weird. People
Yeah.
think you're weird.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But in Europe, I think that's much, much more prominent, things of that
It is.
nature. And I think culture-wise too, it's a big thing over there. Like in Italy, I'm sure there's very tight-knit communities that are based on certain things, winemaking probably being a big thing, honestly, and cooking probably being a big thing. But yeah, I could totally see that connectivity having, like I said before, it probably also, Russ, down regulates that stress factor. You have the community around you. You could talk to people. You could associate. You could disassociate also from things that are going on in your life. I could see that totally being a stress reliever. And I think that probably creates longevity in a lot of people, honestly, if you have that community around you. Yeah, I truly do believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, we all know that wellness is not about perfection, but it's about progress.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
And so when we think about it, don't try to be perfect. Just progress every day. So when you progress, think about connection, think about community and the power of it. The power of it is wellness. And we just take those steps of action and we make it happen.
Yep.
Well,
power of community wellness.
Segue right into the end, right into the closure of this podcast.
He's good at that, guys. He's good at that. We're going to wrap it up with that, guys. Power of community wellness right there. Community Strides. Russ, when's the next Community Strides?
This Saturday,
right?
Saturday.
Guys?
Yes.
2 miles, guys. Post Move Today 365, post Dual Coast. Tag us in everything. Community Strides this Saturday, guys. Check us out on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Follow us live on every Tuesday morning, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Let's go.
Let's go. Take care, guys. We'll see you next week.